My name's Casey. I'm one of the feature programmers here for Tribeca. Thank you all for hanging around for the Q&A this evening. Without further ado, I'd love to bring to the stage director Anna Rowe. And Anna's going to introduce an incredible crew and cast in a second here, but before she does that, I want to remind you all, film, eligible for the Audience Award. Make sure to vote for it. Once you get out here, find some folks in our blue shirts and get your ticket scanned and go ahead and get that process going. But without further ado.
So, team, could you please come up? So I brought Felix Pflieger, my DP. I brought Luna Jordan, cast. Noemi Nikolaisen, cast. Katharina Stark, cast. And Zabet. Are you there? Yes. Kelvin, makeup artist.
Everyone? Good? Awesome.
So they're producers, but they're watching how we do our job and give us feedback later.
Anna, to begin with you, and I know this is third screening, so I'm sure you've talked about this already a bit, but just for our new audience here, if you could talk to us about some of the beginnings of this idea, what drew you to this, and why you felt compelled to dive into this story.
So, as I said before, this was my graduation project, so I was at this point of deciding how to end this phase of going to school, and I thought back on how I felt when I finished high school. And so the version of the story is that I had a very close friend who was always talking about this moment where she's gonna be free after school, and I was very irritated about this word because I felt very different about this. And when we finished school, I very straightforward knew what I wanted to do, and she, who was like waiting for this moment so long, didn't know what to do and really like fell apart. I don't know how to put it. So this is like the emotional core of why I wanted to look at this point in life. And then I started interviewing young girls at the age of 18 and asked them about their hopes and fears. And with these interviews in mind and with these characters in mind, I started writing the story and wanted to put them in this like metaphorical, magical place. And this was in the year where in Australia there were these huge wildfires, so it kind of, and then COVID hit and everyone was in abandoned cities, so a few themes came together.
And for our audience, we will have some short time for audience Q&A at the very end, so please keep those questions in mind. For our wonderful cast who are appearing on stage with us here, Anna mentioned this idea of this falling or this sort of juxtaposition between feelings. Can you all just talk about embodying that and embodying the roles that you did and what you all maybe brought to each of your individual roles?
Okay, so I'll just start off with Ira. I think she was like most hanging to this structure of school and this this daily thing also with her friends, and she knew, okay, school is over, everything will break away, and that was kind of the last trip for her to get this full experience of what friendship is and to have this kind of family, to have a home. And she knew after this everything will change, and that's for her a really, really scary thing. And I think she kind of fell into a kind of hole of fear of the unknown, and often didn't know what is wrong, what is right in a way.
typing in real time.
I said before, I think I'm a bit too nervous right now to talk in English, so if you have any questions, come over later and talk to me. Yeah. That's why she were like... Okay. Yeah, I think for my role, for mine, it was a little bit when your friends are kind of behaving in a way that you don't think is good, or that you kind of, when you realize that you will have to leave, that you might have to leave the friend group that you had, so the kind of this realization in them causing the car crash and not wanting to go back home, where my character has a future that she likes. So yeah, we worked a lot on that in the preparation.
Anna's, and we also have the DP up here, so I'm curious about both their, thoughts about this. The film is so beautiful, and there is a sort of haunting aspect to it as well, in some phases. I'm curious if you all can talk about just developing that look, and maybe if there are any specific references or things that you knew, maybe pulling even from other mediums, whether it be art or other fine art or otherwise, that ended up really encompassing the visual imagery we saw on screen tonight.
So I don't want to take anything away from your answer, but I think working with Felix, so this was my 5th project together with him, so by now we have a very intense preparation process, and he's involved very early in the process, and I think what I value most about him is not only that he's my co-creator of the movies, but he doesn't only think about the images, but while creating the images, he thinks about the sound the most, but about the process he thinks.
Hi, and thanks for coming, everyone. It's really great to see so many people here. What was the question? How we came about with the look and the feel.
Yeah, the visual styling, and if there were any references you all pulled, whether within film or outside of it, in another medium.
Yeah. So we, look-wise, we always accumulate a lot of pictures and photos, and for the exposure, we actually fell in love with Bill Henson's pictures, and we discovered that he uses a lot of reflective light. So we actually worked together with Sabit, our makeup artist, a lot in the preparation to find out how we can actually use almost no light and a lot of darkness and a lot of black fill and a lot of sweat to actually make this journey into darkness possible with very little light. And it was basically a hodgepodge of inspirations. We looked at the handheld camera of Children of Man, we looked at the exposure of Bill Henson, we looked at Justine Kurland, the photographer. We are very much in love with Lucrecia Martel, which is a beautiful director. And we kind of threw all of that into the mix, together with the confined aspect ratio to also make it a little bit more eerie and atmospheric, and long lenses, and yeah, that's it.
Sabbath, the makeup artist, you are tasked with making everything, but especially this incredible cast we have on stage with us look distinct and feel singular in a lot of ways, obviously and tied to Anna's vision. Can you just talk about your process for that? And I mean, frankly, if there are any specific references you feel like you pulled that ended up being part of the overall conversation, if you could speak
Yeah, so we wanted the movie to look very natural in terms of makeup. So we had, I tried to think about different ways of approaching makeup. So I pulled a lot of inspiration of like textures and feeling, so stickiness, sweat, like dust and stuff. And so I made different like mood boards for like the different stages. So one for dust, one for sticky, one for like dirty socks and sweat and like all the grimy stuff. And then we tried to incorporate as much of that and as much of natural like things that happen when you are on vacation but you don't have a shower and you don't have anywhere to like look in the mirror and you just live day by day, and to make a lot of that into the movie. And of course with like nearly no light you have to like try to show as much skin as you can, making it reflect as much as you can. And so we had like a lot of screen tests where we like tried different stages of sweat to see the people in the darkness. And so sometimes Felix would be like, oh, we need stage 5, it's too little sweat. So then I got and went like, yeah, okay, let's do more. And yeah, that was kind of the process.
Visual stylings, there you go, a lot of sweat. For our audience questions, and pardon me, the lights are bright up here, so if I don't see you on the way in the back, I'm not ignoring you, I just can't see you.
In the back over there.
Oh, yes, right here in the white shirt, then we'll come back in.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. Congratulations, that was beautiful. I was wondering, so much of the film, like it was felt so fluid, and there were so many moments that seemed like happy accidents because of what was happening, what seemed to be happening naturally with like insects or with animals or with the sun or the weather. And I was wondering if there were happy accidents and if you could share a couple with us, whether or not they made it on screen.
Yeah, I think we were planning to go hunting for happy accidents. So since all of us stayed in this village in which we shot called Tribeca Italiano, and Felix and I lived like in the middle of the village, sometimes we would. Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah.
On the 3 days, we went around the village and looked for example, for these animals, because I wanted to have a lot of like small details of animals in the movie in a village where there are no people. So in the storyboard, we sometimes had like one empty image, and the descriptions just said like magic insert or something like this. And then on the 3 days, Felix and me went hunting for magic inserts and or details. And for example, I mean, of course, the two bunnies, is it called bunnies? That that was an accident. So we shot the whole night at the stunt scene, and then we drove back to the village to go to bed. And we shot the whole way back, and there all of a sudden there were these little bunnies. And yes, I mean the team was prepared to be very flexible. So while shooting, Felix saw something, he just screamed, "Shut up!" And then everyone like had to freeze, and he just went and shot a little animal, whatever. Yeah, so it was both like planned spontaneity.
Good job, Felix. Right here with the red hair.
Hi. So from one post fine art student to another, I know you it's like suddenly you go from a student to showing at Tribeca Film Festival. I mean, that's incredible. And I want to know, during your days at school or maybe afterwards, were you ever told, like, you know, you can't do this, or this is too much, or, you know, I know it's such a competitive industry, like, how were you told that ever, and how did you get past it and move past it to get to this point?
I think the only reason why I did this film as a graduation project was to not be told you cannot do this. Because Lea and Kati, my producers, we thought about doing this as a pure debut film with more money, but we decided to do it as school because then we have this kind of I don't know. Like, yeah, people, like our partners, everyone's like, it's just a graduation project, it's fine. Let give her the creative freedom. And we really took advantage of this. So I know that it would have been harder to shoot a 4x3 movie with a German TV station if it was my debut or second feature. So I really wanted to make a project just for us, just to make this first project together, that to show what kind of movies I want to do and not to have to think about the whole industry already. So also I got really lucky because we had a change of professors, so they kind of forgot to take care of us. So but it was intentional to do it in this protected environment of the film school and take as much creative freedom as we could get.
That is all the time we have this evening, folks. Thank you so much for being here. Please, round of applause for our
Thanks so much for coming.